Okay, you can go, Helena.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to your Living Energy Day, when we are for 24 hours bringing you the best of energy, consciousness, awareness, spirituality, and higher understandings of life. I'm your host today, Helena Summer, love, dating, and relationship coach. Very excited to interview Shelley Malka. Welcome, Shelley.
Hi, Helena.
Hi. Shelley, you are EFT practitioner with a very specific, fun twist. Can you please tell us exactly what you do?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean about specific fun twist. Can you tell me? I'm not sure what I'm getting into here, so I'd like to just
tell us what you do, because I believe that what you specialize in, it's really deep and powerful. So tell us more.
Okay, well, first of all, I tend to work with a specific audience. I work in Israel, and I tend to work with Jewish people across the board, across the spectrum, very religious, semi-middle, what they call light, and then people who are totally secular. My orientation is not to exclusively work with Jews, but that seems to be the audience that I attract. So I go with what I attract.
Very good. And because you are in Israel, are you specializing in a certain political and war situations, or you work mostly with personal issues that people have? What is your specialty when it comes to emotional impact?
So I don't only work in Israel. I do a lot of Skype work. I do a lot of telephone work. So I do work with people in different parts of the world. Okay. And it's interesting. I haven't really worked a lot with any of the war trauma or terrorist trauma. That doesn't seem to come my way. I do a lot of trauma work. I find that I'm invariably working with trauma, but it's not specific to the trauma of living in Israel.
Oh, interesting. Very nice. Okay, so tell us, what is your favorite and most powerful experience when you work with people?
My favorite and most powerful experience, do you mean the subject matter?
Yes.
The subject matter.
Yes.
What I really like doing is helping people to connect to their spiritual identities. Because I find that we know it up here. The brain is very good at knowing the right things, but in the heart, that feeling is very elusive, and it's very, very difficult for people to connect with. So obviously, I work with the Orthodox population. I'm an observant Jewess myself. So what often happens is that people say, I know that God is here, and I know that he's taking care of me, and I know that he's in control, but I don't feel it in my heart. In my heart, I feel disconnected. In my heart, I feel isolated. I feel alone. I don't know whether I deserve his interventions, and on and on and on, with all the typical blockages that people have. And what really excites me is to be able to help people to work through those, and then for them to experience something within themselves that's very personal and very unique. And that's incredibly, that's awe-inspiring for me.
Wow, I like that. Because most of the people who started using EFT are using it for physical pain, anxiety, fear, or something else. And you are actually taking it to the place where we are going to divinity, spirituality, and high. This is awesome. So how do they even get open to do EFT for that? How is that even their idea? Do you market yourself in a certain way, or how do you get that?
No, I don't market myself at all. In fact, I mean, I'm starting to now, but I haven't up to now at all. It's very much been word of mouth. It's very, very true that people say energy, but when your system is flowing, and when you are open and you don't have blockages to receiving clients, or to knowing that you have something to give that somebody else doesn't, just because of your own uniqueness, it opens the channels. It opens the channel. So I don't really understand marketing or advertising because it's something I've never had to do. But really, when people come to you, it's not that they're coming for EFT or I can't speak about other modalities. They hear about you and they somehow feel a connection with you. And most people come to me and they say, well, I don't know what you do. Yes, maybe I've heard of the tapping. Maybe I haven't heard of the tapping. I don't really know what you do. They come for that relationship. They sense that you can help them. They sense that you're going to have some kind of rapport with them. And that's really what does it. It's an amazing thing, but that's the key. It's not about the modality. And actually, I heard you say that on an interview that you had with Mike. And I was jumping up and down because you were the first person I'd ever heard say, it's not about EFT. It's what you bring as a person. Of course, you have to be well trained. And of course, you have to know very, very well what you're doing. But then it's about letting go of all of that. And it's you. It's what you bring to a session and to the person that you're working with.
EFT is very powerful, but it's not God.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell us, how do you actually, okay, since you talk about the connection, that invisible connection with a person and a practitioner, what do you think is the importance of it?
The importance of that invisible connection, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Well, you know, I was listening a little bit to the last speaker, John, and he was saying so many things that resonated with me, and I think with a lot of people, because they're very, very true. A person has to really feel, they have to feel safe. If I'm sitting and talking to you, I want to experience you as a safe person. I want to experience you as somebody that I can say whatever I want to, that you're not going to be judging me, that you are really hearing me. You're not sitting with your own agenda. You're not looking at the time. You're not thinking about the next question. Right, exactly. And we feeling each other out like that all the time. This is going on unconsciously. No, it's automatic. And a person, they feeling out, is this a safe person? Is this somebody I can trust? Is this somebody who is going to understand what I'm experiencing? If it's trauma, is this person going to be able to hold me through events that I'm not even sure what they are that are going to come up here? You know, and that whole idea of, I think it's Stephen Porges who coined the term neuroception, that our neurology is feeling out under the surface. If you want to call it energy, it's all really, we're talking about the same thing. We're feeling out who are our people, who's going to be there for us, who can we connect with. And this is something that as therapists, as practitioners, we have to be very, very aware of. So much is going on in the communication below the surface of consciousness.
Wow, that's so important, because often we hear friend tells us, oh, this person was so good for me.
Right.
As a love and relationship coach, my husband is best for me, but I don't know if he would be the best husband for everybody else.
Exactly.
That uniqueness what you are talking about, so important.
Exactly. And that's why people who will be able to learn from you are very different from people who will be able to learn from me. You and I can be teaching the same thing. We could both run workshops, say in EFT, just because that's the modality of choice, let's say. Yeah. But you will attract a very different group of people to who I will attract.
Yeah. And then there will be few that would be okay with both. But the whole energy of the whole group will be of a certain flavor.
Yes, exactly.
So let's talk about that aspect that you help them connect to their spirituality, to their, so how do you do that, and what results do they sometimes believe they are more orthodox and then they realize they are actually on a softer side and they have conflicts about the family upbringing, or the opposite way? How do you integrate their states?
So again, it's very much about, first of all, being totally present with who the person is, not assuming anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you know the person, like every session is an original session, and you open and receptive to them, and you go with them. In other words, my agenda is out the room. There shouldn't be an agenda, ideally. I'm going with them. Now, 9 times out of 10, people come with problems. They don't necessarily, they don't say it's a spiritual problem that I'm coming with. There is such a thing. They will say, I don't feel connected. I say the right things. I do the right things. I look the right way, but I don't feel connected. There is that. They will. But 9 times out of 10, it's some kind of presenting anxiety or a phobia, or they have an illness that they can't get over, and it's causing a whole lot of anger to come up, or they have, it's usually through a presenting problem. And they don't necessarily even know that what they're looking for is spirituality. Mm-hmm. So what I do now, again, it depends who the person is. If I see, if they look like me, for example, right, their hair's covered in one way or another, and at some point in time, when I feel they are ready, and of course that's very, very intuitive, I will ask them, okay, just a question for you. Where is God in this picture? Mm-hmm. And I say to them, this is a real question. This is not a lip service question. It's not rhetoric. It's a real question. I want to know. Mm-hmm. And that's the door that goes in. That's the door that we open. And then they start exploring that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
And then we just kind of go with it and see where it takes us.
Wow.
And you never really know where it's going to take you.
Exactly. Yeah. EFT by itself is wild in nature that takes you everywhere, but the doors of, it's like you're opening the hugest door.
Yes, exactly.
Possibilities, incredible possibilities.
Exactly. You got it. It's you opening the door to incredible possibilities.
Wow.
And that's very, very exciting for me, because I tend to see, when I meet a person, I tend to see, don't get me wrong, it's not a Pollyanna approach. I don't just see the good in everybody and I never see the bad. It's not about that. But I see a person where they shine. I see that there's something shining in them. It can be, even if a person is depressed, I can see, it's like I'm looking at this person down the road. I don't know how long down the road. It could be weeks down the road, months down the road, years. I don't know. But I have a vision of them. And it's real. It's not a fabrication. And I saw recently, I watched a TED talk where the presenter was talking about, she had something on draw your dreams, which I thought was a lovely little exercise where you draw your current reality and then you draw what your dreams look like. And of course, you don't have to be an artist. It's symbolic and color and et cetera, et cetera. But she gave a very interesting statistic, which I actually found frightening. She said, how many people would you think out of 10 fulfill their dreams? How many people have a dream and they're able to fulfill it? And she gets a whole number from the audience. And then she says, 1 out of 10 people. And that blew me away. You know, I knew it was low, but I didn't know it was that low.
I actually think that's high, because that's 10% of population. That's 10 out of 100.
10 out of 100, right.
I think this is pretty high, considering how so many people are in dead-end jobs and have really difficult health or family circumstances or something. Yes. I kind of think this is pretty, I would think it would be maybe 1 out of 100.
That's interesting, because even the examples that you give, you know, you say people have in a terrible job or they've got an illness. It's really about how we take our life circumstances.
Yeah, I was a refugee child. I had nothing, literally.
Right.
I mean,
That was very
many felt issues, but I took it on a positive. But when I look at the whole, maybe it's a propaganda of how broken our society is.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm happy that it's 1 out of 10. I hope we get 2 out of 10.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're happy. I was shocked. I was shocked and horrified.
Okay, nice we meet to blend our experiences of a number.
Right.
Oh, wow, interesting. Okay, so if we have listeners now who are saying, actually, yes, I also never ask myself a question. Where is God in here? Or where is love in here? I never really even considered these doors. And they are, of course, as many people on Living Energy, they're very familiar with EFT. And they want to play with this by themselves. What do you suggest? How to start knocking at the heaven's door?
Well, there are different strokes for different folks. And I think everybody, it's such a unique connection. The connection that we have with God is so unique. No two people can possibly have that same connection. So again, I would put that question out and say, okay, take a situation, take any situation that you're going through in your life. It can be negative, it can be positive, it doesn't matter what it is. Anything that just comes to your mind, something that I'm experiencing right now. And to ask yourself.
So hold on. It does not have to be related to anything spiritually.
You see, what do you mean when you say spiritual?
Or anything godly, because it can be just a regular headache, or it can be a situation, my child has to go to school and I'm busy with this and my parents, something like a regular kind of situation.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly. Okay. And I've got some feelings about that. Okay. On the positive side, okay, that's much easier. It's much easier. If you say, where is God in this picture? Okay, I'm getting married, or I've just met my soulmate. Okay, where is God in this picture? The answers come flooding, right? You don't have to look very hard, right?
Yeah.
I guess I chose that topic because I know it's yours. You're the expert there. So, but if it's something more difficult, let's take the headache. Something that's really pretty innocuous. Here's the headache. Okay, so where is God in this picture? So at first it's like, well, what kind of a question is that? Why does God have to be in this picture? All I've got is a headache, right?
Yeah.
But the real truth is that God is, I heard a wonderful saying from a very great rabbi of the previous generation. And his students, he asked his students, who were obviously also they were very learned, they were not ordinary people, where is God? So they thought it was a trick question. Now, what kind of a question is that from you asking us, And his answer was, anywhere and everywhere that we let him in.
Can you say this again?
God is anywhere and everywhere that we let him in.
Wow.
In other words, he's right there. He's right there waiting for us to just acknowledge something.
Oh my God, Shelley. You just gave me personally a breakthrough.
In what way?
Wow. Wow. This is so perfect.
Okay.
Wow. So when I was 15 years old, there was war in my country.
Yes.
And I ended up being a refugee by myself. My twin sister and I were separated. My brother on the front line. My grandma's house burned. My best friend died. I mean, I was a kid and I had a terrible experience. And alone in a refugee camp, alone without family and friends, just me and all these other people. And when there was a baby that died from froze overnight. And everybody was panicking like at 3, 4 in the morning. And I walked. This was the moment for me. God, if this is what you're letting happen, I'm going to find God and I'm going to kick his butt. I was so angry and so focused and determined. I don't know how, but I just ran away from refugee camp. And I asked that very question. People on the street, where is God? Where is God? Where is God? And they gave me limiting answers. In the church, in the Bible, in your heart. Nobody told me anywhere and everywhere you let him in. But I asked that question entire day. Everybody who I saw, every single person. And then I met 3 glowing women. And I asked them, and they said, why you ask us? And I ask everyone. I'm just exhausted. I need to find God and have a serious talk with him.
Yes.
And they were nuns. And they took me with them, and that's how I became a nun. And now you're opening my eyes that this happened because of the purity and intensity of the question.
Yes,
where
exactly.
is God? I didn't care where is my next food. I didn't have clothes on me. I didn't have ID, money, nothing on me. I wanted to know where is God.
Yes, exactly.
And I never did where you let him in. And I guess at some point from exhaustion, I was angry at him anymore. I just was exhausted. So I softened the barriers of the blockages of anger, and I need to punish the God for punishing children. Wow. Thank you.
Well, this is a realization that you've just had now about back then.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes, never came to me before.
Oh wow. That's
because my life just changed. Suddenly I had food, I had shelter, I had a mission, everything was totally different. And I never reflected back to that magical doorway. As you said, all the possibilities open. And they opened for me, but I never went to see which door did I knock. The question.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Wow, I didn't do anything. It's
I am so happy now, like a giggling little kid. Like, I got it now. I got it.
But you said something very important there. You said the purity of the question.
Yeah.
It was your whole being had to know the answer to that. It wasn't just coming from your head. It was coming from your whole being.
Yeah.
And then the doors opened.
Wow. So help us if somebody is now listening and they want to open these doors too. So they come to regular situation.
Okay.
I just had to interrupt with this crazy, I'm so happy. I cannot even tell you.
It's amazing. It's wonderful.
I just need like a happy dance break. So to help others have a similar experience and that beautiful realization. So they take a regular situation of their headache or something, and then they ask the question.
So no, hold on. I would like to do a little bit differently because I think
because I feel like I interrupted the flow with my happiness.
No, not at all. This is wonderful. So now I'm gonna ask you because you just sort of had an experience like this. So now what? In other words, what do you know now that you didn't know before? And what can you do with that knowledge that you couldn't do before?
Wow. I know it's not really knowing, it's more, as you said, being.
Right. It's a knowledge in your whole being.
Yes. It's a knowledge of certain safety that is different than a regular safety. What
Yes.
is safety here? There is some kind of safety in even unsafe.
That's right.
Seemingly unsafe.
That's right.
And there is a knowledge of, oh my God, I have the connection, and the dialing number is the question.
Yes.
I wanted to call God to something,
Right.
and I dialed the number.
Right.
Many times. 100 people probably I asked the question.
Yes.
And I always got 3 or maybe 4 similar answers. But that continual call, like a child,
Yes.
I want my diapers changed or whatever, they just demanding. And they get what they need, that again, the purity of that question with the flavor of, I can ask.
Yes.
I don't need. It's actually amazing that we should actually not get the answer until we ask. Because who you become in the process of asking.
Exactly. You got it.
The surrender of your agenda, the surrender of,
yes.
I didn't know anything about EFT at that time. Yes. I didn't know it. I just was so upset that so many people who I love died, and so much misery.
Right.
And the upset slowly surrendered.
Right.
And surrendered and surrendered. And I was just exhausted, and all that was left was me. And the pure desire.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So now that you have this knowing in your being, is there something that you had to do before now that you now no longer have to do? You could stop doing it.
Yes, a lot. Judging, suffering, pushing, stress. There is like an energy of force.
That's right.
Actually, it reminds me of the book Power versus Force.
Yes, exactly.
The energy of force is not even me.
That's right.
But there is no connection to the power until there is a relationship with that question.
It's so interesting what you're saying, because I remember very clearly when I heard the interview that Mike did with you. I don't know when that was, but I felt so connected to you. Just, your whole energy, I felt so connected to you. And there was a life and a joy for life that was so palpable and so infectious. I would imagine that you are somebody who really can, I don't mean inspire people in the usual cliched sense of the word. You lift people with your energy. Is that part of your experience?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing me.
My pleasure.
This turned out to be very intimate.
Yes.
Conversation, and everybody's welcome to join into this experience.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And so if you were the person with a headache,
yes,
having asked yourself this question and having taken yourself through a little bit of this process, how would you be relating to the headache right now?
The first would be the layer of the force, the gunky, sticky,
Right.
Oh my God, I want to do this and I have to do that and I'm going to be late for this and why now and I hate this and why the victimization and all kind of dirty, like heavy energy.
Right.
Okay, I'm stuck now. All I can do is be.
Okay.
And then when the moment of the gunk is over, if I let it go,
Right.
so we can stuck in it and find another identity of righteousness or victimization and think this is it and grow on that and never even consider that, okay, what now? So that pause is actually opening for the question. That is the opening for the possibilities.
Exactly.
Then I have a headache. Actually, this is what really happened. Last year, this time, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. Very aggressive form of kidney cancer. And it was so stressful to me. We just moved from my homeland of Hawaii to Texas when I cannot even drive. And if I have to drive him to hospital, I'm so stressed on these highways. Yeah. And it's just a weird energy of Texas doesn't belong to my soul. Right. And it's just so, everything feels overpaved and it's just not beautiful and not life-bringing what I'm used to in Hawaii. Or even Croatia, my hometown is even, I'm used to living in beautiful, energizing places. And I actually broke apart. Like headache, that part of gunk was just, that part just overwhelmed me.
Yes.
Intense. And it actually lasted for 8 months almost. That I fought and green food and like headache. Let me try this pill and let me try that and maybe I should breathe and maybe lemon juice, whatever will work. Tapping doesn't work. Let's try anything. Force. Right. You are killing my husband. You should drink green juice because I said so. That fight.
Yes.
External, meaning my husband, with eternal, how do I save him? Oh my God.
Exactly.
And then there was a moment of surrender. And I was just like done with my own stress and I needed to go back to Hawaii to visit my friends to connect to this cancer drama. And with my friends, something happened. We were in the jungle. I love nature. I love my big trees. And we were sitting in a jungle. And I just had peace. Pure peace. And I tried to build it up. How am I going to have to bury him? And what if we end up in a $200,000 financial debt that I had to pay for the rest of my life because of all this drama that was before the cause of my headache.
Yes.
Was just like, and so what if this, and everything just became like story that was, I believed. It could happen, but it doesn't have to.
Right.
So that space that I willed myself to go to Hawaii, I said no to all of my friends who wanted to see me outside of the jungle and talk a regular how are you talk.
Yes.
I needed to commit my truth is jungle and silence, barefoot hiking, and few of my very spiritual friends. And that commitment to I'm going to do what I need to do for me in the silence of misery and suffer and beg the land of Hawaii to give me relaxation. I experienced a drop of that peace and then I kind of, this feels good. And I kind of chased it.
Yes.
So this is what I believe with the headache or any other headachy life experiences.
Right. So you said a few very, very important things here.
You're a great listener, Shelley.
Well, don't we have to be as practitioners? And if you can't listen, then you're not getting to first base.
Yes.
You spoke about getting out the gunk. You have to get out the gunk. When you started with your headache, I've got to get out all the gunk, the anger. One of the things that I love so much about EFT is that tapping helps you to get out the gunk. It really allows you to go through that process, because to get to that point of surrender that you spoke so beautifully about, it's not a light switch. We can't make an intellectual decision to get there.
Mm.
Most people can't. You have to go through a process, and the tapping just allows you, it allows all that gunk to be acknowledged, to put those cards out on the table, to really just say, this is what it is, this is how I feel. And then that voice inside feels like it's been heard. And now we're ready for the next step. That surrender is such an amazing place to be, because it's not that God doesn't want to give us what we want. He wants to give us what we want, but he wants us to know that it all comes from him. That's the source. That's what he wants us to know, whether he's giving us something and it's clear that he's giving us, or whether it seems to us that he's taking something. We need to acknowledge that's the source. We live in such an anti-spiritual culture where everything is about materialism and everything is about what I can do and my skill and my ability. We do nothing. He does it all. We just have to show up and know what the source is. And then we can get to that point of surrender. Mm. I find that EFT, it just evolves us to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Because so many people, me included, I cannot often say the words unless I have the friend of tapping.
Yes, exactly.
That gets through the gunk. Like,
exactly.
Wow, I'm really feeling this, and this whole like, desperation and anger and the whole spectrum of gunk can be expressed, because it kind of feels like, oh, I'm just tapping. I'm not really complaining. I'm not really. I'm just tapping.
Right.
So it's like a friend.
100%. It's a great point. That it's a really great point. It almost gives you permission.
Yeah.
Right. It gives you permission. You know, one of the things I find, I'm thinking just as you were talking, a lot of people are afraid of anger. Anger is a very scary emotion. And a lot of people feel that if they allow themselves to feel the anger, they're going to explode.
Yes.
And really, it's the opposite. People who explode are people who have not allowed themselves to experience the anger for themselves, who've put a lid on it, and on and on and on. And eventually that lid just shoots off because it can't anymore. It's a pressure cooker. The tapping allows us to get in touch with that anger, and just what's incredibly empowering is just allowing myself to experience the energy of anger without the story. This is why that you don't have to be specific here. The specific is allowing myself to just experience the feeling of anger in my body, because it's an empowering emotion. It's an empowering sensation. And when I've experienced that, all of a sudden, I think about that person who said X, Y, Z and did this and the other, and it's not the same feeling anymore. It's like, not such a big deal. So
because I remember in a refugee camp, I was so angry when that baby died. Yes. But because I didn't have anybody who knew me, that was like maybe day 3 or day 5 in the camp. I didn't have anybody who I could talk to. I felt shame to tell them that I am angry at the God they are praying to. Because that dude is killing children. I'm going to get him.
Yes, yes, yes.
So for me, it was really that anger. You know how anger is more dynamic emotion than desperation?
100%.
So dynamic of anger.
Mm.
I need to do something. Like I need to punch somebody. I need to do something. Okay, get out. So got me to get out. And really, I love way more when I'm angry than when I'm depressed.
Oh, that's for sure. Depression is the pits. Anger is much better than depression. But, you know, there's an erroneous belief that we have there about I must hold on to this anger because it's the only way I'm going to get out and do that. It's the only way I'm going to motivate myself. It's the only way. Yeah. And we need to stop and ask ourselves, is that really true?
Good point.
Do I need this anger to motivate me if I'm really motivated for something? And it's something that I will want to choose if I'm coming from a calm place. You know, everything that John was talking about in the previous session. I'm coming from that calm place where there's blood flowing to the prefrontal cortex. Then I can decide, is this the way I really want to go? Is this what I want to do with this? And if the answer is still yes, then I don't need my anger for that. And if the answer is no, then I better calm myself down before, otherwise I'm really going to do something I regret. Yeah. So that erroneous belief of I must remain angry, otherwise I'm never going to whatever it is that I want to do or that I think I want to do, it can take us down the wrong path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. How emotions are like a really little helpers.
Yes.
Like a little spirit guides in our experience. And then we want to numb it. Let's get drunk. Let's forget everything. Let's eat it all up.
Right.
And if you express emotion publicly, oh, what's wrong with you?
Yes.
You forget about it or don't.
Yes.
Because we are afraid to witness somebody in their full spectrum of experience.
Exactly. Because we've never been taught how. And we live in a culture which doesn't know how to handle emotion. We've never been taught how to handle emotion. Emotion is threatening. Emotion is scary. And, you know, rather keep a stiff upper lip, put it all away, you know, even keel.
Don't disturb anyone.
Right. Exactly.
I know one time there was a Halloween party in Hawaii, in Waikiki, so thousands of people go up and down the streets dressed like crazy. And I was so myself in my full expression of glory.
Yes.
And there was this guy who asked my friend, what is she on? I want what she is drinking.
Yes.
And he said, she doesn't drink.
Yes.
Like, okay, what is she smoking? She doesn't smoke. That's her natural.
Yes.
And it was a guy, this other guy said, no, this is not natural. This is not possible to be natural.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So even the expression of happiness.
Yes.
You can only be happy if you win a lottery, if you are, as you said, getting married, if there is something happy. But you cannot be happy just because, look, life is good.
Yes.
It's a day.
Exactly.
So our happiness and emotion must be conditioned.
That's right.
It cannot also be okay if somebody you love died.
That's right.
Like, God forbid, your daughter was killed and you are them. That means you probably killed her or something. You don't love. You have to suffer to show your love, and you have to, if you get something, money or whatever, then you can be happy. But happy for no reason, it's not allowed.
Yes, because we're always judged. Wherever we go, we're judged. And that sets up energy of fear, energy of constriction.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you was, because I don't know anything about Croatia, how is that culture in terms of emotions, because I looked at you and I thought, wow, I wonder if all Croatians are like this. Now that must sound ridiculous. How simplistic can you get?
I wish. Let me tell you, but first Mike texted me something here. I need to see if he needs something. Nothing, just unrelated. Mike is a little monkey, just comment on our conversation. Okay. He said we are good with time. Croatia is, in my experience, countries that are on a warmer side.
Yes.
Like Mexico, Brazil.
Yes.
Where it's warm, people are more expressive.
Yes.
More fancy, more open, more happy, more lovely, more naked.
Yes.
And in the colder countries, the emotions also are kind of a little frozenish. I lived in Germany, and I felt I would die of emotional deprivation. There was no expression.
Right.
So Croatia has 4 seasons, but there is also part of Croatia across the Italy that, because it's a small country, the energy is, let's eat and party.
Okay.
But also, let's suffer. I not live back. I love to visit for 2 weeks. Anything more than 2 weeks, actually 10 days is my limit. Anything more, I start feeling the depression, especially after the war.
Yes.
I've never seen a homeless person before the war. There is no concept of homelessness because everybody has family. We help each other.
Yes.
There is camaraderie. Locking doors, what's that? Neighbor makes cookies, he brings you some. We harvest our cherry tree, we share with. It was just so that idyllic life.
Wow.
But after the war, there is so much heaviness and depression, and people smoke cigarettes like crazy. Nobody of my family, but actually my twin sister, she smokes. There is that energy of deep suffering and super happiness. But the balance of knowing how to just be, if I show up there, they think I'm not from there. And if I'm here, people think I'm not from here either.
Where is here? Where are you right now?
In Texas.
Okay.
I know. I still have to make peace.
Right.
Me in Texas, I feel so foreign here.
Yes.
Long.
Not right for your soul, I think you said it was.
My soul is still in Hawaii and always will be. I belong to that place where people are just cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's fascinating, the different cultures. That's why I asked you, because I think Western culture, I think it's very true what you're saying about warm climates and more expressive, because Israel is hot most of the year and people are very hot, very, very, very expressive. They say whatever they feel. There's no, it's very refreshing. I grew up in South Africa, which was more the English, cold. And so politeness was very, very important there. Politeness was a value. So for me, this is very, very refreshing. I love that warm Mediterranean.
Yes.
We were talking about emotions, and it's just very interesting, the different cultures, how they deal with emotions, how they teach kids to deal with emotions. Not even, we're not talking about in school formally, but just under the table, between the lines. What kids.
I would actually love to even go deeper. I'm now totally speculating. Nobody, don't take me seriously now. But I'm thinking how German expression of emotion is very, even ich liebe dich sounds, means I love you. It sounds like I'm going to kill you. So and then the way Hitler and the whole Nazi, how it all happened was very cold.
Yes.
Who told people they're cold? And how the killings maybe of some other countries, how they do wars, is more bloody and more passionate in this kind of wildness, the expression of wildness and expression of coolness.
Yes.
I'm speculating now, but I would love to kind of dig into the extreme emotions.
Yes.
How we experience happiness and how we experience anger. in
Yes.
a warmer, cool climate. That would be cool study.
It's absolutely fascinating. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But just getting back to EFT and ending off with this possibly is that all emotions are allowed with EFT. All emotions are allowed. All emotions, right, are to be explored. Let's see where they go. Let's see where it takes us. Let's see the insights and the shifts that we can get through going with our emotions. And it helps us process emotions in a way that there's so many good techniques, fantastic techniques out there. But somehow this tapping is something very, very unique and special. In the way it allows us to evolve and to move through what's the emotional blockages into a more open space of possibility.
Let's, in the honor of time, let's see where we are now at. Mike Broadwell looks like a Karen. Mike, you sound much more beautiful. I appreciate your transformation. That was Mike, are we good with time, or we need to start wrapping up now?
Yes, you need to start wrapping up now.
Okay, thank you, Karen. So, Shelley, please let us know, how can people learn more about you and get some more, maybe in contact with you, to work with you and help them get in touch?
So at the moment, the best way is through my email address.
Yes.
Mike is in the process of helping to put up my website, but it's taking time, as things do. So email is a very good way of contacting me. I do a lot of Skype work, so I'm on the computer a lot.
So your email will be presented on Living Energy the website underneath your picture, I hope. And if not, Mike will put it there, because Mike, if he can look so good in a minute, he can put that in a second.
Sometimes we can do that, sometimes we can't, right?
Exactly. So, Shelley, if you have a last words of wisdom that you would love to share with us, please let us know.
What's coming up for me, as you said, that is that the answers are not in the tapping. The answers are not in the practitioner. The answers are in you. And put that question out, ask God to help you find the person who is going to be the best guide for you, that can take you where you need to go. The answers are in you, and it's between you and God in the end of the day.
And if somebody does not believe in God per se, but maybe universe or a higher power, but not a God, or a God is he, God is she, what would do you recommend remodeling that question?
Look, the universe, we can talk about the universe, and then we can talk about the master of the universe. And it's where each person wants to go and is ready to go. I'm just leaving you with that.
Thank you so much, Shelley. I appreciate it. This was such a heartfelt, raw, honest.
It was wonderful. It was very wonderful. It was wonderful to meet you in person finally.
Oh, thank you, dear. Okay, this concludes our interview for Living Energies Day. Please continue being with us, because we have this ongoing for 24 hours, so that the solstice can be the new mark of a new beginning, of a new energy, of a new opening for us, if we let ourselves be, as Shelley says. Thank you, Shelley, so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Helena.
My pleasure.